When you're picturing the Dominion, you should remember that they're not some loud tyrants obsessed with galactic control. In fact, some say they're a machine running with chilling precision. While Klingons charge into battle and the Borg talk endlessly about perfection, the Dominion doesn't care about glory or dramatic speeches. Unlike most Star Trek villains who get tripped up by their own egos, you know who they are, like Khan's speeches or Q's antics, the Dominion left ego behind. Their cold, calculated approach becomes their greatest strength, and they almost brought down the Federation because of it. So, without wasting any of your precious time, let's look into the origins of the Dominion. So, what is the Dominion actually? In Star Trek, the Dominion is a powerful alliance in the Gamma Quadrant made up of many oppressed races. The creators designed it to contrast with the United Federation of Planets, showing a group built on domination and extortion. The Dominion first appears in Season 2 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Episode 26, titled The Jem'Hadar. Through attacks and threats, it shows anger at Alpha Quadrant powers exploring the Gamma Quadrant after the Bajoran wormhole is found, warning the Federation to stay away. The story of the Dominion begins with the Founders, a history which is remembered by the Great Link. Long ago, changelings were a single-shaped race who got their shape-shifting powers from a giant changeling called the Progenitor. They once traveled through space, seeking other races to learn more about the galaxy. They came in peace, but were often met with fear, hate, and violence. Solids, afraid of the changelings' ability to change shape, attacked, hunted, and killed them. Dominion legend says that on one planet, a group of Vorta, who were these small, shy, ape-like creatures living in hollow trees, hid a changeling when they were being hunted by an angry crowd. In return, the changeling promised they would one day become powerful and lead a huge empire in space. After the changelings went back to their homeworld in the Omarian Nebula, they decided to make sure they would never be controlled by solids again by bringing order to the wild universe around them. That's how the Dominion was established. So you can say from the start, the Dominion's goal is clear. It wants to bring order to the galaxy by tightly controlling its subjects. The Dominion became a coalition of 3 species that were united by a strict and aggressive plan for expansion and control. It's said that the Founders hold all the power. The Vorta act as administrators, recruiting others to join and leading the stormtroops. The Jem'Hadar serve as the military force, eliminating any species or planets that refuse to follow the Dominion's rules. The hierarchy is enforced without exception, and breaking it can mean instant death. In fact, this Dominion alliance is quite different from the Klingon or Romulan empires because it relies on strict genetic engineering and complete ideological control. I mean, Klingons are motivated by honor and a warrior code, while Romulans focus on secrecy, politics, and expansion. These differences lead to internal conflicts and power struggles in their societies. In contrast, the Dominion exists only to serve the Founders, who see other species as animals to control or destroy. They avoid the disunity seen in other empires by creating a loyal and single-minded hierarchy. It's a type of setup that leads to a cooperative long-term strategy that's less likely to fail due to individual errors or betrayal, except in rare cases like Odo. And there is another thing I'd like to point out. You see, the lack of usual villain motives like greed or revenge makes the Dominion even more frightening. Why? Because their distant and logical way of taking over, or how they see people as numbers to be controlled or removed, is deeply disturbing. Their main qualities are coldness and efficiency, and they use cruelty not out of anger, but as a calculated way to maintain control, scare others, and show that fighting back is useless. Before we go further, it's important we look into the Founders' home, the Gamma Quadrant. Before the Federation arrived, the Gamma Quadrant, which is 1/4 of the Milky Way galaxy, was a chaotic and unstable place where fear was common. In this setting, the Dominion rose to power by presenting itself as a protector that could bring order and safety, rather than as a harsh conqueror. You can say that until Starfleet's Deep Space Nine established regular contact through the Bajoran wormhole, the Gamma Quadrant was a lawless frontier. The area had no large governments to keep things stable, so it became a patchwork of competing groups, frequent conflicts, and general vulnerability. Planets in the region often faced threats from raiders, changing alliances, and stronger neighbors. This led to widespread fear and a strong desire for protection. I mean, this constant insecurity and chaos made the region ready for a powerful group like the Dominion to step in and create lasting peace. The Founders took advantage of everyone's wish for stability. They offered a simple deal to end the constant fighting: complete order in return for complete loyalty. The Dominion skillfully presented its strict rule as necessary government. They claimed to be the only system capable of bringing real peace. At first, it avoided emotional arguments or open aggression and instead offered a logical answer to the chaos. Because of this, many worlds chose to submit because the other option was endless conflict or even destruction. For them, living under the Dominion's strict rules was better than facing constant war. Even though the peace that followed was harsh and controlling, everyone obeyed the Founders, all in exchange for safety. Did people ever try to rebel against such a harsh system? Some probably did, but most were not successful. Why? Because, you see, the Dominion was set up in such a way that they could crush resistance quickly. Its large and disciplined Jem'Hadar army made open rebellion seem pointless. The Founders could shapeshift, allowing them to sneak into and break up resistance groups, governments, and alliances before they became a real threat. The Dominion's size and seeming invincibility also discouraged anyone from trying to fight back. Now, it will make you question, how is the Dominion working so smoothly with 3 different races? Well, you see, the Dominion maintains unmatched ability by removing the need for unreliable humanoids, known as solids, and their ideologies. Rather than relying on loyalty through belief or nationalism, the Founders built obedience. Yes, and I'm not even stuttering. They built obedience directly into the DNA of their subject races, the Vorta and the Jem'Hadar. As a result, the Dominion operates more like a machine than a traditional culture. You'll see most empires dependent on shared values, national pride, or ideology, but these concepts can be challenged, corrupted, or lost over time. And the Founders viewed these traits in solids as weaknesses that threatened their survival and security. That's why they chose a system where obedience is built into biology. So the Vorta and Jem'Hadar are both cloned and genetically designed for specific roles. The Vorta have a deep, almost religious respect for the Founders, while the Jem'Hadar are created for absolute combat effectiveness. The Vorta were created to act as skilled managers and diplomats, but they lack independent ambition. Their main job is to represent the Founders and carry out their orders without hesitation. And when it comes to the Jem'Hadar, they have no culture, history, or identity except as soldiers for the Dominion. They are tools created in cloning facilities for one purpose: to fight and die for the Founders. In fact, there's something on which the Jem'Hadar engineering depends on. It's something called Ketracel White, which is an artificial drug supplied only by the Vorta. Without regular doses, they experience severe withdrawal and eventually die. Technically, one can say that this addiction is an effective control method. It eliminates the need for traditional discipline, loyalty oaths, or morale. The Jem'Hadar literally, or you can say systematically, cannot rebel because their survival depends completely on the command structure that provides the drug. This system takes away free will and the chance of betrayal. I don't know if this is genius or just cruel. Doesn't it make you wonder that if the Dominion were so damn efficient, could it mean they could have destroyed the Federation? Well, to answer that, we'll need to backtrack a little bit. So if we start with Starfleet's story in the next generation during the 2360s, it was a time during which the Federation enjoyed a long period of peaceful exploration. From the Khitomer Accords in 2293 to Wolf 359 in 2367, the Federation faced almost no major threats or wars. The Klingons were rebuilding after Praxis and had agreed to peace, while the Romulans kept to themselves. The Borg were mostly rumors at this point. There were some skirmishes and border conflicts, especially with the Cardassians and the Synkethi, but nothing that truly threatened the Federation's dominance. Overall, the UFP enjoyed nearly a century of stability, growing from about 50 member planets to over 150. But that era of peace couldn't last forever. In the 2360s, the Federation started facing new and serious threats. The Romulans reappeared, the Bluegill conspiracy nearly tore Starfleet apart, and then the Enterprise D met the Borg. At Wolf 359, thousands died in just a few hours. It was something the Federation had never experienced before. Earth hadn't been attacked in over a century, and no enemy had ever taken over Starfleet the way Locutus did. The Borg left a lasting mark, leading to the creation of Starfleet's first true warship, the Defiant class. Because of all this, attitudes and priorities were starting to shift. And then came the Dominion, which was almost the opposite of the Federation. You can say that they were something completely out of the syllabus for the Federation. There was no cooperation. For them, it was a group of species ruled by a harsh military, using their size, diversity, and technology to get what they wanted. The Federation had always managed to find peace through innovation or negotiation, but the Dominion was a new kind of challenge. That's when the Federation realized they could no longer depend on diplomacy or military strength, because the Dominion wasn't interested in talking, and their military power was even greater. Unlike earlier enemies, the Dominion had no interest in finding common ground. Their main focus was conquest and destruction. In fact, creativity and courage weren't enough to beat them, because the Dominion also used diversity and innovation to their advantage, like when they brought in the Breen and their powerful weapon. So how can you negotiate with someone who only wants to conquer you? How do you outsmart an enemy who's just as clever? How do you win against a version of yourself? Well, in simple terms, you bend the rules. And that's what the Federation did. And after a long struggle, they won. The Federation's victory over the Dominion was difficult and couldn't be credited to its values alone. They relied on luck, made questionable choices, and had to rethink their morals. In the past, Federation values like compassion and diplomacy had always seemed to win out over violence and tyranny. The Dominion War deeply challenged that belief. I mean, it's not surprising. When you're fighting a total war against such a big threat, you knowingly or unknowingly commit terrible acts for the sake of peace. This left Starfleet and the Federation with a cultural identity crisis after the war, because terrorism, biological weapons, and genocide don't fit with Federation ideals. Even if we don't know how much the public learned about the war's end, it's clear that the war left a lasting impact. A whole generation of young officers was sent to the front lines. Instead of starting their Starfleet careers with hope and excitement about exploring, they ended up disillusioned and traumatized. Many are still left wondering if the Federation could have survived by sticking to its principles, or if Starfleet's values were truly enough. All I can say is that this war exposed how quickly ideals crumble when survival's on the line, how sometimes efficiency can outperform morality, and how close the Federation came to proving the Dominion right. What's our conclusion on the efficient antagonist from Star Trek? I don't know about you guys, but I just want to point out that the Dominion was never built to be the iconic villains they became later on. Think about it. They were engineered purely to operate, dominate, and conquer without any sort of hype. And the real horror lies not in flashy atrocities, but in the seamless way they pulled them off. They showed the galaxy that cold, flawless efficiency beats noble principles every time. So, what are your thoughts on the Dominion? Let us know in the comment section below. Well, that's a wrap on today's video. Thanks for watching.